Okay. Hi. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about molded shoes and what cute things you can do with those. First of all, I'm going to finish off this pair of pink molded shoes that I made, so I'm going to need one more back on my shoe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my gem tack, and I'm going to smear it on my sole piece. What I'm doing is I want it a very light coat because I don't want that glue to go through on the other side, but I also want it to be tacked down completely all the way around. So it doesn't matter, just put this on the wrong side because you want the right side to show when you're going to use it on your shoe. What I use is I use a lot of, I have a little rag here that's full of wet rag so I can wipe my fingers on it because that glue gets real sticky. Okay, so once I have that glued down, there's going to be my other side. So I'm going to trim all the way around about 1/4 of an inch. You can go a little wider or a little bigger if you feel like it, or it's easier for you to work with, whatever. It's your own preference, just as long as you have enough fabric so that you can bring it around the front and have it glue nicely. Okay, so I'm going to start my cuts on the turn, and I'm just going to make some little cuts about 1/4 of an inch apart, and I'm only going to do it around the curves. You don't have to do it around the straight edges. You really don't even have to do it at all. I prefer doing it because it gives you a smoother edge around the edges. A smoother finish, I should say, around the edges. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to start on one end and put my glue down, and I'm going to just tuck them down. This gem tack is very good. It dries very quickly when you put enough on. Just keep working it. If you got one that doesn't go down right, don't worry about it because you can still adjust these even when they're not completely dried. What I found out is, and you can even read the instructions on here, it says to make sure that you're using fabric that doesn't have any sizing in it because it's hard for the glue to stick to the sizing. And that's true. And this I didn't wash, and that's why it's full of sizing, and it's not tacking down as easily as like a washed cotton or any other fabric because of the sizing. But it's okay. You can still use it with the sizing, and it's just you have to work it a little more. Because a lot of fabrics, they lose their pretty colors sometimes when you wash the sizing out, especially if it's cheap fabric. But we'll get there. It just takes a little bit longer to saturate. And this is also an Hawaiian fabric that's got that white embossing on it. And when you have that white coating on the fabric, the embossing, it tends to be resistant also. Okay, so then now we got the two ends. We're going to do the sides. And we're going to just tuck that in. Good. And I have pop loose on me. And a few pop loose. To be more generous with the glue. I don't like to oversaturate because it takes forever to dry. Okay, so there we go on that one. And I've already got the other one already done. So this is the top, or the bottom. It doesn't matter. It could be vice versa, however you want. I try and kind of match it though with whatever I have on the other shoe. So in fact that was probably not a good choice because there's not much pink in here. I'm going to redo that one and do another base so it matches better. But anyway, that gives you the idea of how you're going to do the top and the bottom. I could do this way and it would still not match correctly. I don't think so. I'm going to just take my fabric, this pink fabric, and find another spot that would be matched more closely to the original shoe that I made. Okay, so that's that. And then how am I going to make this strap here across here? I'm going to use plastic from a yogurt container from Walmart. It's actually one of these right here, and the reason I'm using this is because it's not as hard as like a water bottle plastic, and it works really fine with these kind of shoes. You can do all kinds of things with it, and I'll show you in a minute. But what you want to do is you want to take the writing off of the, well, wash it after you use the yogurt, and then rip the paper off. And if the paper doesn't come off easily, and it won't, I guarantee it, just soak it in water for a while, and then it'll just peel right off, and you'll be able to get all the writing off. You don't have to if you're using a dark fabric, but if you're not using a dark fabric, you're going to be able to see, you know, Great Value or whatever the yogurt is right through the material, and you don't want that. You don't want a pair of shoes where you can read Great Value through the plastic. So cut that off. Okay, once you got the paper off, you're just going to cut it. And like I said, water bottles will work. You probably can go around your house right now and find dozens of things that will work just as well as this. They even have plastic that you can use for like stencils, and I think that plastic would work just as well, but it's not something you have to, because you can, like I said, anything, even water bottles. Okay, so once you've got that out, here's your how you're going to make your molded shoes out of. And what I do is I take my just my straight edge, and then I'm going to just make a straight edge so I can get a straight line on these, and just take a pencil. And then you can decide, well, how do we want to design this? I'm just going to do this one right here is an inch wide, so I'm just going to make an inch strip for my next cut. Okay. You could use the rotary cutter, but I don't recommend it because you don't want to dull your blade. So I just cut this plastic with scissors. But if you got an old blade, it'll work just fine. This is like the thinnest plastic you can get. I think this is probably the thinnest plastic that you can use that will still maintain a shape. Okay, so once we've gotten that done, then I'm going to take my fabric. Since this is this one, I cut it wrong. That was obviously the wrong size. So I'm going to make another trim. Well, here's the piece I already cut out for the second one on this. So once I've got that, I'm going to glue my fabric onto this piece. I'm going to glue white. For this one, I glued white on the front and white on the... I didn't glue white on the back. In fact, I didn't make any glue on the back. I'm just going to glue a piece of white fabric to the front. And I have that piece right here. Okay, great. I knew that was going to happen. I keep running over time, and it looks like I'm going to do it this time too. So I'm going to stop right there, and then I'll come back to you on like a part 2. Okay?